All right, guys. This is going to be kind of a random video. Not really sports related, more politics related. But I was just listening to a bunch of stuff in the news with Trump and politics and all that. And it just got me thinking about like what sports mentality or what the NFL, you could say, has taught me about really just everything, politics included. I think I've talked on this channel a bit about kayfabe. If you guys don't know what kayfabe is, it's a pro wrestling term. Essentially, what it means is that, if you guys aren't familiar, it means that world actors, entertainers, you could even do this with the NFL, right? They pretend like they are rivals or they hate each other or whatever. But really, they are on the same team business-wise, and they probably meet in rooms together and laugh about, the act that they pulled on the public. This became pretty apparent in pro wrestling. I don't remember the exact year, but for a long time people thought it was real, and then they just kind of like owned it after a while and said, yeah, this is kind of fake, right? You'll have like Hulk Hogan in a feud with like Ultimate Warrior or something like that one week, and then they'll be like teaming up the next week. So yeah, you see this with the NFL as well. That's why I think the NFL is kind of is rigged. Well, not kind of rigged, because like a good example is recently I actually made a video about it. It's like the tush push completely fine on the Eagles' path to winning the Super Bowl. But now that they've won the Super Bowl, now they're talking about like, oh, health concerns and fairness and all this garbage. So, I mean, that also has to do with women being in the sport. But the larger point is that, as I've said in the past, the NFL is an entertainment product. Now, how does this tie into politics? Well, if you guys are not completely new to the space, there's a guy that I watch quite frequently called Academic Agent, one of my favorite YouTubers. I mean, I've got so many now that I watch, and it shifts like every year at this point, because I'm always just trying to learn the truth of things. I'm not trying to, pick a side and just dig in completely. I am always trying to, expand my purview of knowledge, you could say. But yeah, Academic Agent talks about this kind of stuff a lot. But this was just something that I've been wanting to talk about for a while, and that is the current state of the Trump admin. This would be Trump 47. Obviously, it was Trump 45, 47, I think that the Biden election was honked. We'll just leave it at that for YouTube's sake. But, he's back, whatever. But he's making... this is why I waited a while to comment on this. He's making a lot of the mistakes that he made before. He seems to be staffing his administration with... I don't know where he finds these people, just buffoons. I mean, I know where he gets a lot of it. It's a topic not friendly for YouTube, but we'll just say there's a certain tribe over in the Middle East that he, really any politician tends to suck up to, but Trump has always had an admiration for. If you want to know who this tribe is, just go look at somebody like Andrew Ludnick. Just Google his early life. I think you guys might already get what I'm saying, but essentially that's kind of what's happening. Is the whole admin is being hijacked in various ways. And why I'm making this video now is because it looks like the tariff situation, after less than a day, has already gone completely tits up. If you guys don't know about this, April 2nd was Liberation Day, as Trump was coining it. And essentially his goal was to bring manufacturing, or I don't even know what his goal was, if I'm being honest, but the stated goal, from what I'm trying to figure out is he was going to bring manufacturing back to the U.S. by imposing massive tariffs on the rest of the global market. In a way that this is the same kind of blunder. I didn't want to make the video until now, but in hindsight now, it's the same kind of blunder that Biden made, I think, in 2022 when the Ukraine war started. The first thing that Biden immediately tried to do to Russia was put sanctions on them. And all that did was, it caused some like short-term suffering for Russia, but it just allowed them to buckle down, and now it's put Trump in an even worse position as far as trying to negotiate a peace or whatever he's trying to do over there. And that's something to keep in mind. I'm not like inherently blaming Trump for a lot of this because Biden was so incompetent. He just messed up so many things that Trump has inherited a complete mess. But at the same time, it is ultimately Trump's fault because he allowed them to honk the election in 2020. So, all this happened because nobody stopped it from happening. That's the way I look at it. So, I always try to keep that in perspective. It's like, you could have just not given it to this Biden admin. Whatever. Who knows what would have happened? I mean, in a lot of ways too, COVID happened because of Trump, and that's another reason why we're in this mess, because he allowed the lockdowns, he allowed all the money printing, he gave out stimulus. And the huge reason why we're in this problem is, you can't just print money like that for a whole year, 2-3 years, and expect no repercussions. So in a way, we're kind of in the 2008 financial crisis, but like sped run. Instead of being like a decades long project, this is all happening within 5 years. I'm a millennial, so it's like I've lived through all of this. It seems literally every 10 years something like this happens. Like you have 9/11, you have the housing crisis, then you have COVID. So now it's just happening quicker and quicker, right? We're in 2025 now, and now we've got this situation. So but yeah, what I was, to get back to what I was saying is essentially he tried to do these tariffs, and in my opinion, I think he's completely failed on this as well. Like this is a pretty much is, again, it's a similar blunder to what Biden did, where he tried to put the tariffs on Russia, it didn't work. So he tried to put the sanctions on Russia, it didn't work. So Trump tried to put tariffs on the entire world. And it's a little too early to say it didn't completely work, but what it did, similar to what happened with Biden, is it just showed the fragility of the American economy in general. A lot of you guys might not know this, but America outsourced a lot of its manufacturing in the 70s and the 90s under Carter, and really Reagan too. Like since the 70s, they've just been on this, look up the Trilateral Commission if you guys are ever, maybe I'll make like a video on that, but essentially they just over time looked at it as a GDP, green line go up. You guys have probably heard. So they've been sending all these jobs overseas because it was going to make the cost of living cheaper. It's like peak boomer mentality, but here we are, right? It's like, so for one generation of the country, you were going to be able to have like the most luxurious lifestyle possible. And this is the baby boomer, essentially. They were born in the perfect circumstances. The World War II had just ended. The economy was booming after the war. The previous generation MK Ultra'd the boomers to an extent unfathomable. To give them a little credit, they're probably the most propagandized generation in the history of time, maybe. No, I was going to say the country, but it's possibly in the history of time. Because, they grew up with television, all the inventions now that we have, like this screen that I'm talking to you on. All of these things were like new things for the boomer. And so it drove a lot of them insane, if I'm being completely honest. And they took a lot of things for granted, which is why we're in this situation. So yeah, one of the things is they outsourced all manufacturing essentially to other parts of the world, like China, Taiwan for computer chips, And so, because they did this, essentially, it's put America in a position where we don't really produce anything. And, this was kind of occurring to me several years ago. I worked one of the white collar jobs. I won't say what, but I worked a job for a very long time, but it always kind of felt like I wasn't really doing anything, because that's kind of what white collar is. But putting it into perspective, what it is if you work a white collar job in America, you're on like the customer service end, but the actual product is probably being made elsewhere. It's not even made in America. So this is why COVID like messed everything up, because COVID essentially made the entire world panic, and because America doesn't produce any of its hard assets, they just it just couldn't cope, so they just start printing money. That's really all America is. It's just like one big bank. That's the way to think about it. So to get back to the topic of the video, right, what sports has taught me about politics is that a lot of the blustering and the braggadocious attitude that you see from politicians is largely bullshit. It's just kayfabe. So like what's happening right now with the tariffs, in my opinion, is that the Trump admin really screwed up. I mean, I read a thing where, I can't remember the book. It might have been Thomas Sowell's Basic Economics, which I actually have over there. I've been going through it again just to kind of get my bearing on some of these things. But apparently what they did is they put this model. They just say a 2014 book, so I'll have to figure out what book that actually is. But I think it is Basic Economics. But they put the model into like an AI. We don't really know what AI it was, but apparently that this is what generated all those like percentages that you saw Trump pointing out when he did the tariffs. We're gonna put I'm trying to think of, there's all like these random numbers, but it's like Vietnam has like a 90% tariff on us, so we're gonna put this on them. And then the one I do remember is Israel has like a 33% on us, so we put a 17% on them. But anyway, like this was on April 2nd, guys. So like we're on like what is it, April 8th, 9th now? I lose track of the days, but essentially he's already completely backed down on this. It's a 10% flat rate for all countries now, except for China. So it looks like China is he's doing the trade war with them. But as Academic Agent pointed out recently, it's like America doesn't have China has all of the infrastructure because we outsourced it all to them. So they're in much more of a position to endure this than we are as Americans. Especially seeing, I thought the tariff thing would at least last a week. Like I know Americans, I know how like lazy and low time preference, or I forget what you call it, like no patience for anything, any kind of suffering. I just know how Americans are, so I expected it to last like a week, but I underestimated even that, guys. Like it didn't. And again, this could just be because this was a disastrous policy as well, and Trump, to his credit, he tried it, didn't work, and so it does take wisdom to admit that you're wrong. That's not really what he's doing, though. He's like pivoting to make this about China now, but yeah. So there's that situation. There's like the tariff situation. Another thing that's really bothering me about this Trump admin is the immigration thing. So this is like the reason that I voted for Trump. Is I think it's like the number one issue. Like you really need to solve this before you solve anything. Maybe like feminism, but there's like no way, no party is on board with addressing feminism in any meaningful way. We have covert feminism all over, and it's like ripe in the right. So that's like our huge issue, just because birth rates are never going to recover if we don't address this, and we're literally going to enter a Blade Runner universe where we just all are in like coon pods essentially. Women will be liberated and they'll be able to do whatever the hell they want, but Nobody will have families, and we'll just be run by the government completely. So that's that's a big issue, but also the way they're addressing this is immigration. So in a way, they tie together. Like, if you want birth rates to go up, you have to get rid of all the immigrants. You have to basically create a situation where it forces men and women to unite again, I guess. It wouldn't be that hard. People think it would be like the most difficult thing ever, but it really wouldn't be that hard. You could just like ban usury. There's like drastic ways to just like don't let women in the workforce. You know, there's short-term things you could do of a certain age. Obviously, I'm not saying ban all women, but like younger women, you just reverse it. Like everything you've told women to do in their 20s, you just like reverse that. You'd be like, you do this in your 20s, and then you can do this when you're older. And yeah, there's like this is the same with the tariffs. You just incentivize it. I can't remember which president. I think it was Reagan that said it, where he said if you want to encourage something, you subsidize it, and if you want to discourage something, you tax it. So that can tell you everything you need to know about modern society. Like, what do they subsidize versus what do they tax, right? What do they encourage you to do versus what do they not encourage you to do? Very simple. So anyway, like, these are interconnected, and the thing about Trump is, like, I'm not saying he's not deporting people, but I remember like the first week there was like great numbers. This was like right when he's elected. You know, the numbers look great. We're winning bigly. We're deporting at a record number. Like, you just heard that all the time. But now you don't really hear the numbers. And the big thing they're trying to do now, this is like the very concerning thing, where it's a big pivot and a form of containment almost, is that now they're just making it about Hamas and Palestinian terrorists. You know, why is that? Well, obvious, because Israel is our greatest ally. So we got to make sure that we look out for them, number one, right? So it turns out it is an America first. Like, we're just gonna, and again, this, I don't know if he's actually deporting, but the amount that just Biden let in, I think it was like 20 million, is like a low estimate. Just to get rid of those, he'd have to be deporting, like, I can't remember the exact number, but it's something like 47,000 people a day or something like that, if he was going to actually just get back to that, just get back to before Biden. He'd have to do that every day. And they're not doing that at all. They're doing, like, I think the highest day they had last month, they had 100,000. So that was in an entire month. So they did half of what they need to do in 2 days in 1 month. And, you know, again, there is a good argument that Trump just doesn't have the manpower to do this. It's a very solid argument, to be honest, because I always wondered if he did. Because that's another reality of America. Because we've outsourced everything, we are a very incompetent country as far as just domestic issues. Like, we can't, women are in everything. Like, that this is really the problem. We have women in just every position possible, and especially positions that they don't need to be in, like matters of military or security. So we're just in this crisis now where I don't even think Trump has, if he'd have to do some crazy thing where he does like a nationwide call and like says, like, we're just going to do like a volunteer service. You know, maybe he could do this, but he would just need to do something like that where he like completely incentivizes working for ICE and just getting people, you know, they were talking about how they would pay people $750 a deportation if they reported it. There's a new thing that he's doing that I'm not sure on, where I guess if they self-deport, if they don't self-deport, he's going to start charging them like $900 a day. But these are largely the immigrants that are on the welfare dole, which is a lot of them. So there are things he's doing. I'm not like taking it all away from Trump, but I just think that it's just too big of a task. And I think maybe we learned this with the tariffs as well, right? Is that Trump would like to, you know, a lot of people would like to bring manufacturing back to the U.S., but This has just gone on for so long. This should have been addressed like 20 years ago, and it wasn't. So we're now in a position where it's like, is this even possible? And it does. It brings the competency. You know, even with myself, it's like there's a lot of things that I wouldn't be able to do because, like, nobody's trained anyone how to do anything other than stupid email jobs or, you know, finance jobs. Like, that all finance jobs are is like moving money around. Like, it's just fake money that you're converting into new money, and you're just like moving it around. Like, this is what the entire economy is. It's called fake and gay for a reason. It's because that's quite literally what jobs are in the modern world. We don't really accomplish anything. We just justify our wages and we, you know, grandstand. So the things that Trump wants to do, it's like America's not in this position anymore where we can really be demanding anything. So I don't know. That, like I said, the point of the video is sports really taught me how to see through this. A lot of people don't see through this, right? Like, I'm obviously like a Trump supporter. Like I've told you guys, like I definitely voted for him over the alternative, but I'm also not completely, he's not like a religion to me, right? Like, I'm not just completely bought on, and I had my doubts from the very beginning about what he was going to be able to accomplish. Really, it was like the State of the Union. That was a very weird State of the Union that he did like early, the one he did a couple months ago. The USAID, there's like rumors now too that all the money that Elon saved, they're just gonna like use it for other things. So they didn't really save anything. They're just reallocating it to different government, which means like all that talk about giving, I can't remember what it was, $5,000 or something, giving everybody, all the U.S. taxpayers, $5,000. I guess that's not going to happen, which, you know, that was a shot in the dark anyway. But that's what I mean. Like, this is such a clown show. I mean, I think Trump he's just mad dashing because he knows he's only got 4 years. He has hinted that he might try to take a third term, which I would love to see that. I think that would be hilarious. Our political system is such a mess anyway. Like I said, after 2020, there's really no legitimacy in elections. I don't even think elections work anymore, to be honest. That maybe they never did. Maybe that's just what we're learning, is that they never did work. This was always kind of a rigged game. And so anyway, that's kind of my main thoughts on this, is that there's a lot of crazy stuff going on right now, guys, politically. And the most important thing to do is don't just like pick a. That's another, like, it's a false dialectic. There is no Republican or Democrat party. It's a uniparty. If you really want to get down into this, start reading about the certain tribe over in the Middle East. If you want to really know like who controls you, who occupies the government, because that's essentially what it is. Again, that's what they're using the immigration thing for now. It's plain as day. Whether you're pro-Palestine or pro-Israel, like, that's what they're doing right now. They're just using everything to try to benefit them, and it's because in many ways the jig is up, in my opinion. Like, I think their time is coming to an end as far as them running everything. That doesn't mean they won't run America, but they're definitely losing a world stage legitimacy since the start of Gaza. We'll just put it that way. They're kind of just unrestrained over there. And I'm not trying to like moral fag about it. It's just what it is. And yeah, so that's another thing too, is Trump really hasn't stopped the wars at all. You know, again, I'm not really blaming him for that because, you know, Biden started this really, but just the things that we voted for, he's not really doing. But, you know, again, I'm not shocked. That's kind of the point of this video. Like, if you understand the kayfabe, if you understand sports mentality, entertainment mentality, you know, mob mentality, it's this is how people are. Like, if you can corral the mob and get them on board. I mean, this is really what MAGA is, if you want to be completely honest. Like, MAGA is a collection of the left didn't leave, or I didn't leave the left left me types, and they've all coalesced into this group. It's like when we're talking about like RFK Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard as right wing, right? They're about as left wing as you can get. But the left is so insane with the gender stuff and, you know, the the gay race communism. So this is like what we've resorted to. In many ways, too, Trump is not right wing. He's like a 90s Democrat. If you want right wing, you got to look at like Pat Buchanan. He's like the only one in our really in our lifetime that has ever been like right wing, because he was a true isolationist. A lot of people argue Ron Paul. You know, I like Ron Paul, but he's a libertarian. It's completely different. So, yeah, we don't really have any right wing in America, and we haven't for a while, which is why we're in this current predicament. We've had nothing but leftism for like 30 years, our entire lives, right? If you're in your 30s or 40s, you've been living through this your entire life. The only reprieve was Bush, but all Bush was a neocon movement that was just to start the wars in the Middle East, which we are still dealing with this to the day. If you want a really good book, by the way, because I keep bringing up the Israel thing, there's a book called The Israel Lobby by John Mearsheimer. That was the book. I've read a lot of other books since then, but that was the book like 2 years ago that really just like opened my eyes to like how occupied we are. And basically they just run the shots. Like they're all over. This should be common news to most people now because it's become mainstream. Like Candace Owens is talking about this. Tucker Carlson is talking about this. Everybody's talking about this now. But yeah, it's just is what it is. So we're just in a situation where a lot of it's kayfabe and moral fagging, and you're just going to get these extreme cope takes. Like, again, I brought up Academic Agent earlier in the video because he was making some great points about, you know, I was actually against him when I watched the video. He did this debate with Dan from Lotus Eaters, where I really thought Trump was going to buckle down with the tariffs. I was like, okay, he's going to do it, but it literally was like, I don't even know how much time it was. It was like less than a day, I swear. It was like, he just called it off, and like now it's 10, and it's a 90-day, he said that too, it's a 90-day pause, which is a long time. That means that we're not going to see tariffs again until like July, if he even decides to do it again. But then he's ramping it up with China, so we'll see. But I think, like I said, I think China's in a better position to weather that storm than we are as Americans, just saying. So this is really just an L. That's what I'm looking at. This is an L for Trump. I think it's really hurt him. The midterms are going to be pretty interesting now, for sure. Especially with his third term talk. I mean, we're only like 3 months into Trump, and like it feels like it's already been a whole term in many ways. But this I think has hurt the legitimacy of MAGA, and especially you're just going to see all these takes to like, oh, we reduced inflation, we did this. I still haven't seen oil go down in my area. Inflation doesn't matter, right? Like when you say you've lowered inflation the most in the history of the country, it's like you also raised inflation the most in the history of the country in 2020. So like lowering it from that doesn't really matter. Again, like I don't know how people don't remember this. It's like people have the memories of like flies. They literally, the news cycle is so insane now. It's like you just forget. People just forget about something that happened like 4 days ago. Again, I'm seeing this with the tariffs. It's like now everyone's switching their tone of like, oh, Trump did this because he's a genius. The whole goal was China, blah, 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 blah. But like before that, they were bringing up like Alexander Hamilton, George Washington. They were talking about like the founding of the country. And, you know, it just goes to show that nobody has their own. They don't know it. For one, they don't know what's going on because everybody watches the news. They watch CNN or Fox News. It's even worse for the right, I say. I think Fox News is the biggest brain cancer you can watch because that's complete containment. I mean, that literally serves one purpose, to get you to not think about anything objectively. CNN is the same, but like I feel like you have to be like actually stupid at this point to watch CNN. You just have to be like a true believer of the gay race communism to watch CNN, so I kind of discount that a little bit. But anyway, this video has gone on for almost 30 minutes. It's kind of all I have to say. You know, it's a little bit off topic, but at points. But essentially, the message here is a lot of this is fake still. Like, Trump is not really doing anything meaningful as far as I can tell so far. And like I said, I held out to make this video for a while because I wanted to give him some time. But I mean, another thing is like the FBI and the Epstein files. They were gonna like release those, right? They didn't do anything. And again, I have a theory why. I'll go back to my previous tribe in the Middle East theory, but it goes deeper than that too. I think those indict everything. We're talking Hollywood, politicians that you probably never even considered. Like this is probably so deep. I mean, that's another thing is he's trying to like save America. He never drained the swamp. That's another thing I never forget about Trump. But he's trying to save America. But it's like our elite class in this country is so clownish and parasitic and just incompetent. Like there are like me, I'll even say myself, but there's many people I've met, like we could all run the government better than these people, just because the internet has been able to teach us so much. So that's just what we live in. We live in this like old world order of like boomers that went to Harvard and Yale and all this crap, and they just really don't know anything. All they know is like Keynesian economics. You know, Keynesian economics versus Austrian economics. They read a lot of, you know, Karl Marx and Adam Smith. You know, this is where they come from. They don't actually look at the reality of the world. They don't go back and like read Carl Schmitt and things like that. You know, they're big against monarchy, which if you really were serious about it, I think Hans Hermann Hoppe is the only you know, libertarian leftist type mind that has ever fully grasped, not fully I would say, but you know, grasped it in a good way. But I'm kind of just rambling at this point, but the point I'm trying to make is that we just have like an absolute clown show in Washington D.C. right now, and it's on the left and the right is what I'm learning. You know, Biden was a disaster, but that's another thing too, is they're talking about how like Elon Musk, he fired all these people with USAID because he thought they were all just like trannies or whatever. But it's like, it turns out some of them actually were needed to do certain jobs. So he kind of like, they're doing this like scorched earth thing, which hints to me they never really had like a true plan. I don't even think Trump thought he was going to get elected. Like sometimes I think about that. After the assassination attempt, it became very clear that he was very likely to get elected. But even I wasn't convinced until election day, because I literally thought they were going to rig it for Kamala. Like I thought for sure they were just going to force this down our throat until we're done, basically. Because, like I said, a lot of the left they're true believers. I thought they just were going to beat us into submission, essentially. So that's another thing about Trump, is like, why was he allowed to win? What deals were made, right? You got Howard Lutnick's of the world. Just his cabinet is just filled with these like Jewish Zionists. And so even if they're not Jew, like Christian Zionists, just dispensationalists, you know, they all believe in this like dispensational garbage of like Israel has to survive. We have to protect the Jews at all costs or Christ won't come back kind of stuff. So it's a mess, but I don't know. I felt like making this video because there's just a lot of stuff I've been mulling over in my brain lately about geopolitics, and just wanted to just make a video about it. And yeah, it's not football related, but football got me thinking about it because we're approaching the draft, and you know, the mock drafts are coming out and all this, and that stuff's all useless. Like that's what got me thinking, is like, why would you make a mock draft when like you might be lucky to get like the first 2 picks right, and then the rest are, you don't know. You're just gambling. So that's what we live in, guys. We live in a casino country. It's all just gambling. So anyway, that's the video. Let me go if you guys enjoyed it. I'd love to hear your comments down below. Might start just making more videos like this in general. I know said I was going to talk about the NFL being rigged a lot more, but when football season's not here, I just don't care. I'm at the point where I just don't care enough about football to just talk about it consistently. So I'm just going to kind of make videos like on the cuff. And I've been reading a lot over the last 5 years, so I do have a lot to talk about. It's just not really football. It's not that I don't know what's going on. I'm just kind of like bored of it. I've been bored of football for quite a while. So, anyway, that's the video, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Another thing, if you are new to the channel, consider subscribing and hit that like button, and appreciate it. Talk to you later.